Was the closest finish in NASCAR history a scam? Denny Hamlin goes nuclear, claiming the epic 0.001 second photo finish between Kyle Larson and Chris Buescher at Kansas was completely made up by NASCAR. In a shocking rant, the fed-up driver says his own timing data showed a dead tie, accusing the sanctioning body of straight-up fabricating the razor-thin margin to avoid declaring a dead heat. You won't believe Hamlin's conspiracy theory take on one of the most thrilling finishes ever. First off, you all saw that mind-blowing historic finish between Kyle Larson and Chris Buescher, with Larson officially winning by just 0.001 seconds. The closest margin of victory in NASCAR Cup Series history, an absolutely insane photo finish that will go down as an all-time classic. But according to Denny Hamlin, that tiny 0.001 second gap that allowed Larson's number 5 car to nip Buescher at the line may have been completely fabricated by NASCAR. Yes, you heard that right. Hamlin is essentially accusing the sanctioning body of straight up faking the margin to manufacture an ultra-close finish rather than declaring an official tie. In his latest Actions Detrimental podcast, the always outspoken Hamlin went scorched earth on NASCAR over this, saying, quote,
I almost feel like the 001 is just a made-up number at this point. Like, how can they say it's how can you say it's 0.001 if the electronics say the other way around?
Well, Cliff Daniels said on his, whatever y'all got on top of the pit box, it was 000. It was flat.
Yeah, you know what? It did in my bus as well. I have timing and scoring in my bus right by my couch so I can kind of watch races and watch lap times and pay attention to some things. And it said triple zeros on mine as well. But I think that's what I'm saying. I think it's just made up.
Damning accusations from Hamlin, who clearly doesn't buy the official 0.001 second margin and thinks his timing data showing a flat-out tie is more accurate. He goes even further, theorizing that NASCAR essentially fabricated the tiny margin, saying,
"You can't tell time by a single photo. You can't. You see an inch, but you don't know. You can't quantify that,
right? Yeah.
In time. That's why I'm saying, if time and scoring showed, triple zeros as a tie, like I think they just add the 1 on the end just to say it was closer.
Sure.
Because they can't say it's triple zeros because then people would say, we got a tie then. It's a tie.
So, in Hamlin's conspiracy mind, NASCAR saw a tie on their timers, but intentionally tacked on that 0.001 second number to Larson's time in order to avoid the controversy and confusion of declaring an outright tie. An absolutely wild take, calling into question the integrity of the entire scoring process. Of course, NASCAR has staunchly defended the 0.001 second margin, with officials saying their Finish Link's camera system captured thousands of high-precision time-stamped images per second to determine the official photo finish result, showing Larson ahead by that tiny margin. But Hamlin isn't buying it at all, believing those camera images can't definitively prove such an infinitesimal gap. While his skepticism of the tightest finish in NASCAR history is certainly raising eyebrows, Hamlin may just be a bit salty after how his own day at Kansas went down. The veteran led most laps and seemed to be in prime position to take the checkered flag on that final restart in overtime before a wild final few laps. Hamlin broke down the chaos in his late race struggles on the podcast, narrating the decisive moments.
So I had my own issues getting off turn 2 on that last lap because the 19, I was about to clear him and I come down the track. He dumps air on the left side. I start getting tight. I see Chase coming. I check up because I'm like, oh, I don't want to get just killed by the 9 here on the outside. So I get passed by both of them.
So aero tightness from Truex's car caused Hamlin to get passed by both his teammate and Chase Elliott with just a couple laps to go. But he kept watching the heated battle up front between Larson and Buescher, thinking,
and I'm like, are they going to keep it off each other? Really? Like, they're not going to make any contact through 3 and 4? And it was just, yeah, it was epic, for sure.
Hamlin could only watch in awe as Larson made the race-winning move, getting to Buescher's outside through those final corners to steal the victory away in those last seconds. A crushing turn of events for Hamlin after leading over half the race. But despite his obvious frustration at losing and the controversy over the margin, Hamlin did have plenty of positive things to say about the overall race at Kansas, calling it, quote, a fantastic show and one of the 2 best races so far in the 2024 NASCAR season alongside Bristol, thanks largely to heavy tire wear that created a ton of passing and excitement. Hamlin pointed out, this is another track now probably our best 2 races of the year when it comes to Bristol and Kansas, is 2 tracks where we wore out the tires. There was guys that were pitting at the end of that race because they were wearing the tires out. Surely to God, NASCAR, you're not thinking of changing the tire when it comes to this because the show is absolutely amazing. High praise from Hamlin, pushing NASCAR to stick with the current tire that is producing such competitive and unpredictable racing on shorter tracks. He's clearly advocating for more tire wear rather than less going forward to keep putting on shows like Kansas. While he was effusive about the racing quality in Kansas, Hamlin did contrast it with another recent thriller, the Atlanta race won by Daniel Suarez in another tight 3-wide photo finish with Ryan Blaney and Kyle Busch. Hamlin downplayed Atlanta though, claiming, quote, it had a very good finish. The finish was good, but not necessarily calling the overall race amazing like Kansas. Solidifying his belief that it's high tire wear situations like at the 1.5-mile Kansas Oval that produce the best racing. The tire wear is something NASCAR should take into account going forward to make racing better and to have situations such as Kansas. If they are able to get the optimal balance with tiers right, Hamlin would be saying very weekend it was an amazing race. So while he was in awe of the Atlanta finish, Hamlin seems to put more stock into how tires fall off and lead to intense battles over a race run rather than just having a couple crazy laps at the end. No doubt an interesting critique as NASCAR tries to find that sweet spot of racing quality. Speaking of reactions to the Kansas race itself, NASCAR officials were adamant in defending their 0.001 second photo finish ruling, with the governing body leaning on cutting-edge camera technology to justify the minuscule margin. An inside look at the process shows it was much more sophisticated than just having a human look at one still photo. Instead, the Finish Link system NASCAR uses deploys multiple cameras capturing thousands of high-precision images per second with precisely time-stamped frames to calculate those ultra-thin margins. Pretty amazing technology that officials are standing firmly behind in this Larson versus Buescher case. As for those at the center of the controversy, Larson and Buescher were just as stunned as the rest of us by the closest finish in motorsports history. In his TV interview after climbing from the winning car, Larson was almost at a loss for words, saying, "I can't believe how close that was." The surprise and excitement was clear on his face. And Buescher had a similar reaction after being edged out for the victory by mere inches, telling reporters, "I knew it was going to be close." The photo finish kind of surprised me though to see how close it really was. Other drivers in the field didn't hesitate to sing the praises of the Kansas race either, echoing Hamlin's sentiment that it was an all-timer. Kyle Busch summed it up well, calling it one of the wildest and best races I've ever been a part of, just an epic battle all day long. So, what did you think of Hamlin's conspiracy accusations? Do you buy his theory that NASCAR fabricated the numbers? Or are you fully trusting of the photo finish cameras and their process? Let me know your takedown in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to my channel so you never miss any of my hot NASCAR analysis and updates. Thanks for watching, NASCAR fans, and I'll see you next time.